welcome to another edition of Spartan Center here at LCAT. I'm Patrick Varhue alongside Matt Rodalikis, our typical anchor guy here. Colin Casey is not with us today, so it'll just be the two of them.
Trimming the excess fat,
He's just gone. So we will start today with the MLB, Major League Baseball, if you don't know your acronyms. And we are going to talk about the predictions for the season because the season starts next week. So, Matt, your thoughts on what we're going to see this year?
I think we're going to see the Red Sox come out of the gate pretty slowly, very hurt right now, Spring training, people tend to start slowly sometimes, and they're missing like half their team. So, might be a little bit rough first month or two or so.
I
but
agree.
Then, you get Price back 100%, Thornburg back 100%, Pomeranz back 100%.
Carson Smith back 100%.
After the All-Star break,
Yeah.
That'll be excellent. I think that once they get most of their key players back together, they'll start meshing together. They're going to win games. They're going to get in a roll. It's going to be beautiful. And then they're going to win the East. And I don't really know how the playoffs are going to go, but they're definitely going to win the East, so that's good.
I would agree with you there, although I do think they need to do something with the catching situation. Because I look right now, I don't think Sandy Leon's going to be able to hold over for
Probably
the entire
not,
season.
but I would assume he would get the starting spot just based on what he did last year.
I agree, he's going to get the starting spot, but then afterwards, I don't know if Swihart's really ready. You never really know what's going to come with him. Kind of seems like he's going to be a bust. Christian Vazquez is never going to be a good hitting catcher. He's pretty good defensively, but
He's excellent defensively. Let's not undersell him. He's one of the best defensive catchers in the league.
that is true. But offensively,
He is not good.
no. So
It's
quite
a tough
the drop-off.
situation. It's a very tough situation.
So I think they need to really make a decision there, who they're going to go with and roll with one of them. Because right now they're like balancing all three. Make your pick, move on, or do you go get someone else? That would be weird. But,
I would not. That's the last thing I'd do right now. I think they stay in-house.
okay.
I like Swihart a lot personally. I think he's got the highest ceiling of the three. for
I would
sure.
agree. So for the season, I agree. Red Sox are going to win the AL East. I think they can succeed in playoffs now, especially with Chris Sale. Now they have three either former Cy Young Award-winning pitchers. Have all three of them won? I don't think.
Sale hasn't,
Correct, but
but he's been in like the top 6 voting for like the last 5 years or something
Yeah.
like that.
he should. If you look at the past 6 years, you would think he would have a
He's
Cy
a
Young.
Cy Young caliber pitcher.
Yes. So the three of them, basically three Cy Young caliber pitchers, leading your way through the playoffs. I really believe they can make the World Series, and I think they will play in the Cubs again because the Cubs were just
Probably,
the best
yeah.
team in the NL.
In baseball.
Yeah, I guess so.
You had some trouble admitting that last season, didn't you?
Yeah, not a big Cubs guy.
I know.
So anyways, David Price out probably until the middle of May. Maybe earlier, maybe a little later. We really don't know right now. And now Drew Pomeranz may also be out. What do you believe the Red Sox rotation will be if Pomeranz is out and if Pomeranz is in? What's the scenarios here we got?
Well, I think Sale and Porcello are just a lock regardless, 1 and 2. And, well, technically it's Porcello Sale, but not really. It doesn't make
No.
a difference. I think you got to have Steven Wright in there. I think he's had a good spring. He had a solid outing the other day. And he was really good last year. He had a little bit of injury problems after John Farrell made that boneheaded decision to, pinch run him.
John Farrell is a bonehead. That's been
That
established.
was really stupid. He hurt his shoulder. That really derailed his season. But I think, at the very least, he's worth getting a significant amount of starts this season, see if he can duplicate what he did last season. I think Erod deserves a spot. He's shown flashes throughout his career. He had that amazing start when he first came up, and he threw 3 straight shutouts or something crazy like
Yeah.
that. He's been inconsistent, but still a ton of talent there. Definitely the upside of a number 2, number 3 kind of pitcher.
Agreed.
And he's still very young, probably 24 now, I think.
Agree.
And bringing up the rear, at least for the start, I think Kyle Kendrick. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball in spring training, which, I don't know, it doesn't really mean much, anything at all, because it's spring training, but at the very least, you can't be anything but impressed with what he's done so far. Every time he goes out there, it's like 5 innings, 1 run, few strikeouts. He's just been fantastic. And I think, at the very least, he deserves a couple of times through the rotation, see what he can do against a real big league lineup.
To be honest with you, I haven't been impressed with Drew Pomeranz so far in spring training,
I
and he's
haven't
been
been impressed
hurt.
with him, period.
Yeah, I have not been impressed with him since he's been on the Boston Red Sox, and I would give Kyle Kendrick the 5 spot over Drew
I think I
Pomeranz.
would too. I think I'd put Pomeranz in the bullpen. He's had arm issues. He's had experience in the bullpen before. He's been successful coming out of the bullpen. When the Sox moved him to the bullpen at the end of last season into the playoffs, his velocity increased. He looked more effective, sharper out there to me. I saw some good outings from him. I mean, I think it's worth a shot. If Kendrick struggles, then you can slide Pomeranz back in.
I completely agree. I think
it's worth a shot.
And then I think it's interesting if Kyle Kendrick continues to pitch well when David Price comes back. I don't want to move him out of my rotation.
I don't think I do either. I don't. It's just who's the odd man out? Who's the odd man out? It's the issue.
That is an interesting question that will have to be decided once David Price gets back, which may be months from
now. A lot of question marks.
So, moving on, staying with the Red Sox though, Pablo Sandoval, he is going to be your starting third baseman for the Boston Red Sox this season for at least a week until he implodes and is terrible. Your thoughts on that?
I never thought I would hear that coming into the season. I thought somebody would have gotten the spot from him. But to be fair to Pablo, he's been fantastic this spring. He's got 5 home runs. I really don't know any of his other stats. But he's not walking much. He's striking out a little bit, but he's hitting the ball hard, that's for sure. Getting a lot of hits, a lot of RBIs. I think he leads the majors in spring training RBIs.
I think it's home run. No, Red Sox in home runs.
I think.
Yeah.
As of last week, I know that he was leading in RBIs. So he's at least very, very high up. Which, once again, take it for what you will. But still, it's not like he's hitting off of. It's not like he's batting practice. No. I mean, he's hitting real pitchers. So you have to be encouraged by that. He looks better in the field. He looks better physically. Mm-hmm. So I think that's encouraging. But it's still not ideal, and we'll have to see what he can offer the team once the real baseball starts.
I agree. And now, last real question mark for the Boston Red Sox is what's going to happen at first base. Hanley Ramirez, Josh Rutledge, and Mitch Moreland all have injury concerns currently. And even if they're not injured, who is going to get the starting job at first base and DH, the kind of combination there?
Well, I think Hanley's injury really isn't a huge concern because it's his throwing shoulder and he's a first baseman. So that's really not a big deal. So I'm sure he'll get some run at first this year. But it does seem like they brought in Moreland to kind of be the main defensive first baseman, which I can understand. I mean, he won the Gold Glove in the American League last year. But I did think first base was a pretty good spot for Hanley. I thought he was an above-average fielder, maybe not by a whole lot, but I thought he was definitely good enough. And I think that it really helped his hitting. You know, he stayed engaged in the games because he's a guy who can kind of wander sometimes if he's idle for too long. So I think that was helpful for him. We'll see how that goes. But against the lefty, I would definitely start Hanley at first. Against the righty, I'd start Moreland just because, you know, he is an excellent defensive first baseman and offers something with the bat too. But he currently has the flu, so he'll probably be out until some people think he might be able to play opening day, but that's up in the air. So probably mid next week or something like that. So I think, maybe use a platoon of Sam Travis, Brock Holt.
I agree.
Brock has experience playing first. He's got experience everywhere.
Yes,
and Sam Travis has been impressive this spring training too. So I think I actually picked him as my most impressive performer a couple of weeks ago on the show. So I think that you got to give him a look for sure. You got to do it now because once Hanley and Moreland are at full strength, you're probably not going to be seeing a whole lot of Sam Travis in the majors this year.
I agree. I think you start off right off the bat with Sam Travis in the major leagues and giving him the go, really see how he can do, and then he's going to be sent back down to the minors. That's inevitable. You're not going to see. He could be hitting 800 and he's going to AAA because it's just the way
the only
it's gonna
chance
happen.
he has to get PT is some injuries this year, which is what we have here.
Or if they traded down the line Moreland or Hanley in some kind of weird scenario.
Definitely couldn't see that happening, but yeah, I guess.
If they tank and they're selling, which would just be disgustingly sad.
Be disgustingly sad. Yes, it would.
So we will move away from pro sports and we'll head to the collegiate level. Going to see some NCAA basketball. We got the Final Four coming up. We got USC versus Gonzaga and UNC versus Oregon. We will start with the University of South Carolina versus Gonzaga.
I'm going to take Gonzaga because they're a 1 seed. They're one of the best teams in the tournament, clearly. I've been extremely impressed with South Carolina and specifically Sindarius Thornwell. But Gonzaga's a super complete team. They have quality players everywhere you look. You got Josh Perkins, Nigel Williams-Goss in the backcourt, Shinnick Karnowski, and Parnowski. I don't know, whatever. Some weird Polish name. He's really good in the front court, though. Zach Collins, probably likely first-round NBA draft pick this coming season, freshman. Like him a lot, very good big man. But yeah, they're just loaded with quality depth all over the place. And I just don't know if South Carolina can compete.
I am going to disagree with you there. I have loved what I've seen from South Carolina throughout the tournament. They just seem like the perfect underdog. What's the word that I'm looking for?
I'm not really sure.
Not Sweet Caroline team.
Definitely
Cinderella
not,
story.
Definitely not Sweet Caroline team.
Cinderella story, just sliding their way up. I can see USC doing it. Now, UNC are going to move the state up from South Carolina to North Carolina. They're also playing a team from the Northwest. This time it is Oregon. Give me your thoughts.
I've been super impressed by Oregon. And you know what? I originally picked UNC, but I'm going to take Oregon. Because UNC has a lot of talent, obviously. Super talented roster. Joel Berry III is a great point guard. Justin Jackson is one of the favorites to win the Naismith Award this year, up there with Frank Mason and others. And they've got just a wealth of good big men. It's very incredible. They're like this every year. But that being said, when I watch them play, I'm just not impressed. They never look that good to me. They never look really fluent and cohesive. And when I watch Oregon, I see they just have so many scorers. You got Dylan Brooks, Tyler Dorsey, Dylan Ennis.
A lot of Dylans.
A lot of Dylans. It's weird. They just have guys. Tyler Dorsey scored 20 points or more in every single postseason game so far for the Ducks, which is incredible. They have just been playing amazingly. Jordan Bell has stepped up in a big way with the absence of Chris Boucher. I like Peyton Pritchard as a point guard. Very good. Looks to get the ball to his scorers. And I think they're just the better team at this point, even without Boucher. And they have a ton of scorers, and I think they're just going to outscore them.
I don't think that Oregon has really had the competition yet throughout this tournament. They haven't had any real big wins against any huge teams so far in this tournament, and for that reason, I'm going to go with UNC. They have played tough teams. They just played Butler last week, who Butler had been hot throughout the tournament. Or first two games they played well. Then before that, I have no idea who they played because it was an 8-9 game, and I couldn't tell you who was in that bracket. But anyways, UNC has played well. They just kind of hold off every team, and I think UNC is pretty well-rounded, plus they have experience in the tournament. We are going to go now to our finals prediction. You have complete opposite of me, Gonzaga versus Oregon. Thoughts?
I think Gonzaga is going to take it. I think this is the year where Mark Few finally gets that ring. He makes it to the Sweet 16 every year. This year he's in the Final Four. This is the team. I like them a lot, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see Oregon winning the whole thing.
I have UNC versus USC in the finals. You would just have the Carolinas going nuts if that happened, but I'm going to have it going to UNC. I just think they can hold them off. I don't think this is going to be a year where we're going to see some kind of exceptional team top. I mean, you don't have Villanova in the finals. You don't have Kansas. You don't have Kentucky, UCLA. A lot of the big teams didn't make it this year. I don't think you're going to have the number one team in college basketball win the season. So I think UNC this year, they can just kind of hold everyone off and make it. Then we have Lonzo Ball versus Markelle Fultz or is it Marcel Fultz? Markelle. That's why I spelled it with a K. Okay. In the NBA draft, who goes first?
Obviously, I think it depends on the team who ends up with the first pick. So I'll say if the Celtics get the first pick, I think they're taking Fultz because I believe Fultz is the best player available. He's a better scorer. He's a more complete scorer. He can score from more areas of the floor than Ball. He's got great percentages, excellent court vision, excellent rebounder, very good defender as well. I really don't think there's any significant flaw to Fultz's game. I mean, the only criticism you hear from scouts, well, there's only two. One, that his team is not good at all, which, I mean, I guess maybe you could give him part of the blame, but the guy's putting up 26, 6, and 6 a night, so how much can you really blame him for that? And two, he looks a little like he's cruising a little bit sometime in the games, but I really don't think that's that big of a concern. But I think that if the Lakers manage to land the first pick, I think Lonzo Ball to them is very much in play. He's a flashy guy. Magic Johnson is now pretty much running the basketball operations of the team. He's the sort of guy that I think Magic would see in himself, very
that makes sense.
Showtime, flashy, big point guard mold, rebounds and passes the ball well. But yeah, clearly I'm a Fultz guy, but I think depending on the team, either one could go first.
I'm going to go with Lonzo. I think he provides more of the flash to me. And when I see number one pick, I think you go big or you go home. And Lonzo Ball, to me, has a higher ceiling. He can just go off. He can be a dynamic, change the whole scope of the NBA kind of player.
Wow.
And that is why I'm going Lonzo Ball.
It's a big prediction. You sound like LeVar Ball.
I believe in the Ball family.
All right.
Going to the NFL, we are going to talk about Adrian Peterson. After his big injuries and his child abuse scandal, he no longer has a team to play on. So
That's an issue for him.
yes, it is. To be in the NBA. To be in the NFL, you need a team.
That also does go for the NBA, though.
That's true, but he needs somebody to hand him that football so he can rush or pass it to him or whatever AP wants to do. Where do you think he will end up next year, if anywhere?
I still think he's going to end up with the Giants. I think that they'll give him just a little contract, a one-year deal, prove-it deal, as they like to call it.
Yep.
For a guy who's like 31, 32 now, he really doesn't have a ton of wear on him because he missed that pretty much whole season because of the child abuse thing and didn't play a whole lot last year.
No, we did not.
So I really don't think he's that worn down. So I think he still has a lot left in the tank, and he could be very effective for a Giants team that doesn't have a standout rusher.
I don't think he's going anywhere. Everyone looks at he's like the biggest risk as a running back. You take him in, there's no assurance that he's going to play more than 3 games because he gets hurt every 5 minutes. He's not a great human being, given the fact he just hit his kid. That's not good. I don't think there's really any incentive to take him besides the fact that there is obviously a high ceiling, but I just think the risk outweighs the cost that you would have to have a prove-it contract for 1 season. So for those reasons, I do not think Adrian Peterson is coming back, nor do I think the next guy we're going to talk about is coming back, Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is retired, so he really has to come back. But your thoughts on Marshawn Lynch? Because I don't think he's going to do anything.
He probably won't, but I'm going to be a little wild here. I'm going to say, yes, he's coming back.
Oh, boy.
And he's made it known that the only team he wants to come back to is the Oakland Raiders. Or technically now the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's just weird.
After the 2018 season. And I got a notification on my phone yesterday. It said, they could move to, San Antonio for, a year or two before they go to Las Vegas if things get, bad in Oakland.
What does that even mean?
I really didn't know, but I got that notification on my phone yesterday. That sounded kind of crazy.
Why did the Dolphins vote against it?
Because Stephen Ross is the best owner in the NFL. Because Stephen Ross is the only person who cares about the fans. All the NFL owners are just like, yeah, you know what, whatever, let him go move. But Stephen Ross cares. If you saw what he'd said about it, I think you'd be very interested in it. He's a great guy. He's not the best football owner. I will never make that claim. He has had a number of screw-ups in various areas in the football world. But as a human being, Stephen Ross is an excellent man. He also doesn't like when teams use public money for stadiums and other things. He's paid over $500 million out of his own pocket to renovate Sun Life Stadium, or Hard Rock Stadium as it's now called.
Must be nice to have that much money.
He's the richest owner in the NFL.
Yeah.
And he's also he donates a lot of money, and he's a very passionate advocate for, I don't really know how to say this, for the empowerment of people of color in this country, which I think is great because the NFL, why is that funny?
It's just, you said you didn't know how to say it.
I wasn't sure how to say it, but then I put it together, which I think is important because the NFL is largely African American.
Yes, it is.
And obviously, there's a lot of issues there. And he is very due diligent. He has his own organization for it, and a lot of the players get involved, and I think it's great. He's a great man,
that is great.
and I love Stephen Ross.
I can see why you would.
Sometimes in the football things,
I would
because
say
he's
the
not
same.
always the best football guy. But that's okay. He's a great guy.
Wish I could say the same about Dan Snyder, the Redskins owner, but I cannot. He is not good at football, nor is he a very exceptional guy in the outside of football world. So, yeah, so anyways, you think Marshawn Lynch is going to go to Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, technically, still Oakland for now.
And maybe San Antonio.
Maybe San Antonio. There was another place they listed too. It might have been Santa Monica or something.
That's
They
just
listed
odd.
2 potential places if things get bad in Oakland. I don't really know what
What's
that
that
means.
mean? Is someone going to raid in there, get it?
I don't know.
The Raiders?
That was clever.
I'm a clever dude. I don't think Marshawn Lynch is going anywhere. It just doesn't make sense. He's just weird. The guy's an oddball.
He is an oddball.
He just likes the drama, He's just there so he doesn't get fined. If he came to the NFL, he might get fined again.
That's a good point.
You don't know what he's going to do. Whatever, Marshawn. Keep doing you. Your thoughts on the most improved team so far this offseason in the NFL. Give me your team and why.
The Cleveland Browns
That's an interesting one.
brought back Jamie Collins.
That's true.
Did lose Terrell Pryor,
Adios.
but
Pero.
they still have some talent at the wide receiver position.
Todavía tienen. I don't know how to say the rest of it.
All right, they still have some talent there,
Yes.
and I think Isaiah Crowell is a good player, as he proved last year.
Yes, he did.
And they really did a great job with the offensive line, bringing back Joel Bitonio. They paid J.C. Treader and Kevin Zietler. They have an elite O-line at this point, and if they could just get a freaking quarterback back there, they could make some noise. And they'll have the opportunity to get a quarterback in this year's draft, given that they have the 1st and 12th picks. And this is I kind of made this assuming that they're going to take Myles Garrett at 1 because he's clearly the best player in the draft. And they could trade the 12 for maybe Garoppolo, or they could use it to draft Mitchell Trubisky or Deshaun Watson or somebody like that.
Yes. I'm going to have to go with the 49ers because I think they have just a whole like scheme change there. Everything, it is like, goodbye Chip Kelly, adios even more to the Harbaugh era.
Balky, see you later.
Yeah, everybody, goodbye. We got Kyle Shanahan, the man, the myth, the legend, possibly one of the best up-and-coming head coaches. He's the only reason Matt Ryan won the MVP last season. And then they have the GM.
I'll let it slide.
John Lynch. That's his first name, right, John?
Yes,
See?
former safety in the NFL.
Yes, also
Long
former
time with the Bucks.
guy who used to hang out with, he was on with Gruden on Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah. He used to do those. He was a really good player. I liked watching him play a lot. He was dope.
Didn't like listening to him talk, probably just because he was next to John Gruden.
Maybe.
Aye.
Just trying to just adjust. Slipped a little bit there. Sorry, folks.
Anyways,
It's all right.
I think they have a great draft pick this season.
They do. They do have that.
Whole scheme changed. They added Pierre Garçon, who isn't that really big of a addition. Then they have a fullback, Kyle
Juszczyk. Great name.
Amazing
Great
name.
fullback, too.
I think best name in the NFL.
I don't know about that.
Give me a better name in the NFL.
Clinton Dix.
That's a good one. I have to go with Juszczyk. That is just an amazing name.
If I had more time, I could probably find something better, but I was on the spot. There are a lot of great names in the NFL, that's for sure. That is for certain.
Okay. I did like Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
He
but
had a
he's
great
done.
name. A lot of names in there.
Yeah. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. That's amazing.
Excellent.
I wish my name was.
Ben Jarvis Varhue. Ben Jarvis Green Varhue.
That would be so amazing.
It would. It would be.
And so for that reason, I'm going to go with the 49ers. They have 2 big additions, plus complete scheme change, plus a draft pick. This is just how you turn a franchise around and bring them up. Now, switching to the NBA, we're going to look at the MVP candidacy between Mr. James Harden and Mr. Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook is my pick because the guy's averaging a triple-double.
It's exactly correct.
What more can you ask? And he's taken a terrible team otherwise, and he's brought them into the playoff picture, which I think is extremely impressive. Harden's been amazing this year, another triple-double machine with Houston. They have a much better team for sure.
Agreed.
Probably going to go a lot farther in the playoffs.
Probably, I mean.
But he does have a much better supporting cast. And I think that Russell has done more with less, which I think is often something that is taken into consideration during the MVP voting. And I just think he has been the most valuable player in the league this season.
Exactly. I agree. It's like you look at those movies who were just focused on like one person at the center, like Matt Damon or something, and he just takes it and runs.
Like We Bought a Zoo.
It's an amazing film, even though there's some good supporting cast there. You got Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
She's a big name.
She is a big name.
But then you got Harden. He's more like the spread it out kind of film guy. Be like Good Will Hunting, where Matt Damon also had. See, Matt Damon always has a co-guy or co-woman.
Well, most movies do.
Well, yeah, but some of them have like the figure point of the movie.
Wasn't that him in Martian?
Yeah, there you go. There's a movie to use Matt Damon with. So,
Good
It's
Will
like-
Hunting, you had Ben Affleck.
yeah.
He had the other guys. He had the girl. I don't really know her name.
No.
British girl.
Yeah, she's a good actress. Oh, she's the one who's
She's
in.
she's on that new show.
Yeah.
She's the mom or something.
Yeah. Odd.
Odd.
But
It's weird seeing her old.
yeah,
Don't like it.
neither do I. We don't need to age these days. That's the
No.
problem.
Gotta
Gotta
stop.
stay young. So, the last thing we're going to talk about today, the last thing in the NBA, Celtics were first in the NFC. No, the East. There's no NFC. NBA
Eastern
East.
Conference.
Yes, the NBA Eastern Conference for like a day, maybe 36 hours. I don't really know how long it
Something
was
like that,
for
yeah.
the hours, but it wasn't too long.
Not too long.
Should the Cavs be worried?
I think they should be. A little bit. A little bit. This is the first time I've answered this question like this. They haven't played well in the second half.
No.
The Raptors made some significant additions at the deadline. Celtics have played well recently.
Okay.
The Wizards have been extremely extremely good in the second half. The Heat have been extremely good in the second half. There's a lot of quality teams in the East now. And Kevin Love has come back last couple of weeks. Hasn't been very effective recently.
That's all right.
Very inefficient. I do expect him to work through that and be more back into the swing of things by the time the playoffs come around. And I do still think the Cavs will represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. But at this point, there is a little shadow of doubt in my mind.
I don't have that shadow of doubt in my mind. I just look at LeBron in the playoffs. Adios. It's easy money. He's going to take them all the way. That's what he does. He can do it with the main man, Kyrie. Kevin Love's going to get back on his game. And when he gets back on his game, the whole team is going to get back in the swing of things. Easy money, NBA championship game.
Lock it up.
Lock it up. I agree. So that's all for today here on Spartan Center. It was just the two of us today. I liked it. It was fun.
I thought it was nice. Maybe a little bit less structured than when Colin does it.
Yeah, but hey.
Nice to change things up.
Yeah, Colin will be back
He'll
next.
be back.
And he can be in this seat again, and I can
Exactly.
go back to the corner.
Yep, and I'll be back in the middle.
Exactly.
That's just how it'll be.
Yeah, so from all of us here at LCAT, I'm Patrick Varhue. This is Matt Rodolakis. See you next week.